Welcome to the V2V podcast Survivor Series. This is Diamond Ranch Academy, Part 1. Hello, welcome to the V2V podcast. My name is Marcus Parrish, and today Alexei Lindes and I will be discussing Diamond Ranch Academy. This is Part 1, an examination of their own literature and their website and who they say they are and what they do. Also, we'll be looking at regulatory issues facing this institution, and later we'll be diving deeper into their staff, their qualifications, their methodology, the educational aspects of what they do, and really getting to the heart of the matter with Diamond Ranch Academy in Hurricane, Utah. Part 1. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome to V2V Podcast Survivor Series. Today we are going to be taking an in-depth look into Diamond Ranch Academy and dissecting what they claim to be as to what we think they are.
We're not just claiming who they are. We're letting Diamond Ranch Academy tell people who they are in their own words. Here we go. Diamond Ranch Academy is a residential treatment center and so-called therapeutic boarding school in Hurricane, Utah. It serves adolescents with, it should be said that the stuff I'm reading here and talking about comes directly from their Wikipedia page. So it's important to understand that, again, this is not advocacy. These are their own words. So they claim to treat various issues, including ADHD, predominantly inattentive ADHD, like, the kids that just don't appear to be listening in class, using what they call real life transition program, which we'll get into later. Because what is that? That's some lingo that really doesn't mean anything. Real life transition program, but it's important to kind of put a pin in that. That includes peer participant judicial system, which uses citations, fines, and an appeal process. And you're familiar with this stuff.
Very.
And there's an emphasis on participants solving, quote, real life problems. And they enroll people between the ages of 12 and 18 plus. It's, I think that girls max out at 18 and boys are 18 and older. So this place was founded in Boise, Idaho in 1999 by a guy named Rob Diaz, and later moved to Utah, where it is now outside of the town of Hurricane. And that's really what we're getting into, not necessarily where they were, what they did in the past, because we're focusing on places that are now currently open and operating. And so their motto is healing families one youth at a time. And their education programs are accredited by the Northwest Accreditation Commission. We can also get into what they're about too. It's not necessarily because I'll just pause for a second, because sometimes people hear like, oh, it's an accredited institution. And that may mean less than some people think it means. It's an outside body that says, yes, this school is following particular guidelines that are set out so that kids can actually get an education.
Regardless of the fact that the outside body can also be, made up of the inside body.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the institution is always following those practices too. And that's another thing that we're going to kind of explore about the education part of this place. So that's kind of who they are, briefly. And we're talking about kids with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But, and this is a fact, Diamond Ranch Academy is not a mental health facility, and they're not licensed or qualified as a mental health facility. So right off the bat, there's a big red flag because in their own words, they're saying, hey, we can help your kid with this mental disorder, a medical diagnosis. So that should be a big warning. And they also claim to treat drug addiction as well. So it's a really broad scope that they're saying that they will cover. It sounds like something that if it was presented in the right way to a worried parent, they might, say, oh, well, that sounds pretty reasonable. But as we go on, we'll see that really isn't the case. They go on to say, at the treatment center, this is in quotes, this is their language. Students experience a normal, safe, structured high school experience without the negatives of public school. This is a boast on their website. And then according to an admissions counselor named Sean Elsmore, who still works there, and we'll get into his background a little bit too, he claims that 60 to 70% of the students graduate from the academy, and the average stay is between 10 and 12 months long, with less than 5% of those who graduate returning because they have, quote, relapsed. Now, that doesn't sound like a school to me. So far, it sounds like they're holding themselves out to be some kind of drug treatment center. Costs $7,000 a month, and enrollment varies, but typically there are anywhere between 150 and 200 students enrolled at any given time, both girls and boys. There's more information that they want to present about themselves, about their application process. So they say that there are several factors that will help determine if Diamond Ranch Academy is right for you. So what they're doing here, this tactic that they're employing right now is they're trying to show that they're somewhat exclusive, or picky about who might be even qualified to come in. Like, it kind of gives them an allure of something that maybe isn't reachable for.
It also kind of gives the illusion that they have specialists who will sort of figure out what is correct for your child and who know exactly what's right for your child, In
admissions, right, admissions.
Yeah.
This is so important, right? The front door to this place. When we get into who actually is kind of at that front door determining if you're qualified or if DRA is right for your child, you might be surprised. They say the average length is 10 to 12 months. Monthly rates range from $6,000 to $12,500 a month, and is typically private pay, meaning no insurance. Like, they're presenting this idea that this is the best thing going. They even call themselves a premier. It just kind of makes me sick when I say these things, but they call themselves the premier boarding school in America. And then they ask about commitment. Are you able to commit to this? About working together to determine whether these words are so important because these are their words. They say, first we work together to determine whether or not Diamond Ranch Academy is a good fit for your son or daughter. We are very selective in the students we admit to our school in order to ensure that they have a great experience, as well as the best likelihood for success after returning home or going on to college. Right there, it kind of undermines what they claim to be about. So if they're dealing with so-called troubled teens, but they only say they want the ones that they can help, well, how do they determine that, right? Like, and I think the answer, we just touched on it, it's whether or not you can afford $10,000 a month to enroll your kid there. I
Right.
highly doubt that they're going to turn away someone with those kinds of deep pockets.
Now, do they have any type of scholarship program or sort of thing for like underprivileged kids who might want to go there?
They have an asterisk telling people to contact an admissions counselor to discuss payment options. So you can mortgage your house.
Oh yeah.
If you're lucky enough to own a home, you can mortgage your home and be paying off Diamond Ranch Academy for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
If your child's needs are beyond our scope of expertise, which I think is an important word, that expertise, we will refer you to the appropriate professionals. Now, who might that be? I have no idea. Like, they're claiming to be all these things, this comprehensive program to help these teens who are in distress, parents, distraught over their, I guess, misbehaving kid or kid who isn't listening or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. When I think about teenagers, I really am having a hard time differentiating between normal teenage behavior and the type of kids they're trying to describe here. Because, if a kid is, quote, that bad, they say they want to send that child to a more qualified professional. So, but they want to let you know that you can feel free to contact us at any time as you go through the website or as you complete the application. We're here to help. The last thing they want to let people know is that Diamond Ranch Academy isn't for everyone. Not everyone who applies is accepted. We only accept students we strongly believe we can help. That is kind of the beginning, the introduction of who these people say they are.
Yes.
The next area that I kind of want to get into briefly, it's the Utah state requirements for residential programs. Now, these are the rules that schools like this and facilities like this are supposed to abide by. There's not a federal standard. Each state makes up their own rules for how schools in their state function. In Utah, it says that residential programs in the state of Utah are required to employ a manager who will oversee the day-to-day resident supervision and facility operations, and a CPR certified staff member must be available at all times. All staff, volunteers, and employees will be screened and given a background prior to working with the residents or within the facility. Okay. Professional staff should include a licensed physician, a licensed psychologist, and a licensed mental health professional, and any unlicensed staff will be supervised by a licensed clinical professional at all times. So if we want to break that down a little bit, what it says, in layman's terms, is that there needs to be, now, when they talk about staff, they mean people that are on site. They mean people that are working there.
Right.
There should be a doctor, a psychologist, and a mental health professional at all times on site. This is for parents who are being sold the idea that sending their kid here is a good idea. What we're doing is using their own information to show anybody who is ever considering sending their kid to this place in particular or one of these facilities in general that it's a really, really bad idea, and that it's not something that you ever want to do. You don't have to speculate about why these aren't good places to send anybody. Like, they're going to do it for us. all residential facilities are required to maintain a minimum ratio of 1 staff to every 4 residents at all times during the daytime. However, night staff may be reduced depending on the size of the facility. Now, and that's because at night, generally speaking, people are sleeping. Staff in residential facilities will have a separate living space from the residents, and all male and female living quarters will be separate and supervised. So if staff lives there, they can't live with the kids. A single bedroom may house up to 4 residents or 2 with disabilities. That's interesting because the disabilities part is pretty broad. Disability can certainly be a mental health issue. All residential facilities and treatment centers in Utah must be up to date on all safety and building health codes. You get into meals, they must be approved by a registered dietitian, and all facilities are required to note and accommodate the special nutritional needs or allergies of the resident consumers. These kids are really customers. You know, the parents are customers of this service that's being provided.
Kids are the product. The parents are the customer.
Oh, well, sure. That may be how things actually operate.
Yeah.
But in the real world, like if I'm a resident somewhere and I'm paying for it through my parents, you know, and you're giving me bad food or food that doesn't meet my nutritional requirements or my dietary requirements, you know, that's a problem. And even the wording, resident consumers, like they're consuming the food. You have to treat people well. Like that's all it's really saying. It goes into, you know, storing hazardous chemicals and medication in a proper way. Only qualified staff will administer, supervise, and record medication dosage and effects, which means medical staff. Not just some guy who, I don't got a high school diploma or he has a business degree. Like that doesn't count, you know?
Nope.
All curriculum must be approved by the State Office of Education, as well as nationally accredited, and all teachers must be qualified in their area of instruction. So it should operate just as a normal school, a normal public school where people have licenses and degrees and they're qualified to teach in their subject. Each resident will receive an individualized treatment plan upon arrival, and it will be updated as they progress through the program. Monthly schedules will be available to both residents as well as their parents or guardians upon request. Individual treatment plans may include skills development as well as a variety of counseling options, including weekly group, couple, and family counseling sessions. So, you know, just saying that there's going to be some real therapy going on. And the people who are engaging in the therapeutic process, whether that's the parents or the students or both, they have a right to have updates and know, you know, what's going on, access to the records.
Right.
Normal stuff, like that would just as it would occur in any therapist's office, you know, outside. So this next section involves lawsuits and some specific trouble that Diamond Ranch Academy has faced over the years. And you may begin to see some patterns as I go through this.
This has been an episode of the V2V Podcast Survivor Series. My name is Marcus Parrish. With me as always is Alexei Lindes. This has been Diamond Ranch Academy, Part 1. Please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and give us a like if you like. And as always, thanks for watching.